If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description.
Chapter 421, Like a Legend Reborn. Shining New Star. With Kaiba's shout, the dragon of light blazed like the sun, its radiance sweeping across Kira's field, wiping it clean. Even the invincible Buster Blader, the dragon destroyer swordsman, was powerless. He was unbeatable against dragons, but only dragons. But the opponent's dragon had donned a divine beast's skin. With that, he was rendered powerless, vanishing in the white light. Watching the mighty swordsman leave the field, Jaden murmured, "Even such a powerful swordmaster is." "Of course," Mokuba said, rubbing his nose with pride. "Because that's my brother, the legendary Seto Kaiba. Yeah, there's nothing to worry about. His brother's dueling is the strongest. Even Dragon Destroyer swordsman can't do it." "Kaiba really is incredible," Kira admitted. "In just half a year, you've grown this much," Kaiba said calmly. "Fujiki Kira, even I have to admit, you've exceeded my expectations." He paused, then smiled slightly. "Maybe you're the duelist I've been waiting for." "Humph, but not today." "Not just yet." Yes, he'd waited long enough. This time, as he returned to the top, the Duel King's throne would be his, no matter who stood in his way. "Although all my cards were destroyed by Shining Dragon, my battle phase isn't over yet," Kira said calmly. Kaiba frowned. "Oh? But you don't have a single card left on the field," he said. "No monsters to attack with. In this situation, you're saying your attack isn't over?" "That's right." "Ha, interesting." Kaiba chuckled. "Let's see it then. In this situation, how do you plan to counterattack?" "As you wish." A transparent apparition appeared behind Kira. Makira the Destructor. That guy. Kaiba instantly realized. "That's right. When I fusion summoned earlier, I sent not just 2 fusion materials, but 3 more cards to the graveyard. One of them was Makira the Destructor," Kira explained. "When Makira the Destructor is sent to the graveyard this turn, I can activate trap cards from my hand this turn. First up." Kira waved his hand, and a trap card materialized in front of him. "Trap card High Speed Aria. Discard a spell from my hand, and this trap can activate as that spell's effect. As a cost, I can't activate any spell cards next turn. Anime card." Kira sent a card from hand to the graveyard. "I discard the spell card Super Soldier Synthesis from my hand and gain its effect," Kira declared. "I tribute the level 4 Light Beginning Night from my hand and the level 4 Dark Evening Twilight Night from my deck as ritual materials. I ritual summon Black Luster Soldier from my graveyard." "Here he comes, the strongest form of Black Luster Soldier," Kaiba remarked. "Super Soldier Synthesis lets you ritual summon Black Luster Soldier from hand or grave, using a light and dark level 4 from hand/deck if the total is 8. One soul guides the light, one soul guides the darkness. The gate of chaos opens. The 2 knights became beams of light and darkness, spiraling to the ground. The vortex of chaos soared, then was cleaved open by blades of light and dark. Black Luster Soldier descends. Black Luster Soldier, ATK 3000. Zane, to summon a legendary warrior at such a moment. So strong, Kira!" Jaden exclaimed. Although still in the battle phase and Black Luster Soldier can't use its banishing effect, it still has its double attack effect. Kaiba has only Dragon Spirit of White left, now in defense due to Buster Blader's effect. Black Luster Soldier's first attack will destroy it, triggering its second attack for a direct shot ending the duel. "No way!" Zane muttered, unconsciously glancing at Kira. Could this guy actually defeat the legendary Seto Kaiba? Black Luster Soldier's first attack on Dragon Spirit of White. Kira declared. Black Luster Soldier soared, spinning through the air, unleashing a storm of sword strikes. Kaiba gazed up at the endless blades, momentarily lost in thought. Black Luster Soldier. What a nostalgic monster. In fact, this duel had been full of such moments. The Buster Blader just now, the electromagnetic turtle, and of course his lifelong nemesis, Kuroba, and so on. Now, under Black Luster Soldier's sword, he seemed to see a faint glow from the pendant on Kira's chest. For a moment, he couldn't tell if he was facing Kira or his old rival. Despite all his progress, his upgraded blue eyes, even the mighty Shining Dragon, could he still not win against that guy? "Brother!" Mokuba called out worriedly. "Kaiba! No! Even if that guy stood before him, he'd never lose again. He'd already resolved that long ago. Next time, they'd meet as Duel King. I activate the quick play spell Dark Spell Regeneration. Kaiba shouted. Anime-only card, later made into a trap and limited to use with the Winged Dragon of RA, but in the anime, it's generic. Dark Spell Regeneration can only be activated when your opponent declares an attack, Kaiba stated. It lets you gain the effect of a spell card in your opponent's graveyard. Anime effect. Kira frowned. A spell card in my graveyard. Instantly, all the spells in Kira's graveyard appeared as projections, floating in the air. Looks like your fusion birth sent some good stuff to the graveyard. Let me borrow one. I'll use this card from your graveyard. Spell card Monster Reborn. I revive any monster in either graveyard to my field. Kira frowned. As expected of Kaiba, even at the very end he could pull out a trick like this. And if it's Kaiba, the monster he's determined to revive is obviously. Return once more Blue Eyes Shining Dragon. Chapter 422, MVP of the Duel. Endless radiance a shining white dragon, like a blue-white sun rising to the sky. The sacred dragon's body appeared again in that light. Blue Eyes Shining Dragon, ATK 3000 ATK 4800. Blue Eyes Shining Dragon is back. Mokuba cheered. Another comeback. Jaden was stunned. Kira had summoned Black Luster Soldier, thinking a double attack would seal the win. But at the last moment, Kaiba had another ace, reviving his invincible Shining Dragon. Shining Dragon ignores all effects. Black Luster Soldier can't overpower it, and banishing doesn't work. Next turn, Kaiba can counterattack for a comeback. Kaiba turns the tables. And now Kira has lost his trump card, Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, against Blue Eyes Shining Dragon. With things like this, what hope is left? In that case, battle rewinds, attack cancelled. I won't attack, Kira said. End of battle phase. With that, they entered main phase 2, and Kira officially gave up on attacking this turn. Zane breathed a sigh of relief. Looks like even Kira was powerless at this point. I activate the spell card Pot of Avarice, Kira declared. I shuffle 5 monsters from my graveyard back into my deck, then draw 2 cards. 5 monster cards were displayed, then shuffled back into the deck. Of course, Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman is a fusion monster, so it goes back to the extra deck, not the main deck. Oh. Kaiba smirked. Recovered your Buster Blader, hey. Everyone fell silent. It was true. To defeat Blue Eyes Shining Dragon, only the dragon slaying expert could do it. Such a god-tier dragon ordinary monsters stood no chance. Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman was his only shot. But even so, it's just back in the deck, Zane frowned. Relying on just one draw to get it back out. He didn't finish, but everyone felt the same. At this point, Kira's chances were slim. No one would blame him, though. Even losing here, he'd already amazed everyone. To duel Seto Kaiba to this point, he was no longer just the king of Duel Academy, he was now one of the world's top duelists. But even so, to rely on just one draw. He can do it, Jaden suddenly said. Zane looked at him in surprise. I believe in Kira, Jaden smiled. Because Kira is unbelievably strong. Kira didn't draw right away, but locked eyes with Kaiba. So it all comes down to the draw. Kaiba, you really are something, Kira shrugged. Honestly, I rarely find myself in this position. Humph. Kaiba feigned indifference, but couldn't hide the upward curve of his lips. He'd heard plenty of compliments before, but praise from a worthy rival, especially one who could push him this far, was different. Even Kaiba appreciated it. Not that he'd ever admit it. If you think this will make me go easy, you're dreaming, Kaiba said. In a duel, you always give your all, until only one stands. Of course. But one way or another, this is probably my last draw. Kira closed his eyes. Getting to this point was beyond my calculations and plans. Win or lose, it'll be decided by this draw alone. Kaiba raised an eyebrow. Are you afraid to see the answer? No. Kira smiled, reopening his eyes. There wasn't a hint of doubt in them, the look of someone boldly facing the future. Kaiba thought, even if he himself were one step away from victory, he probably couldn't be so calm. Trust your deck, put your soul into every draw, Kira said softly. The golden pendant on his chest gleamed. Don't overthink it. Just feel it. Just hope. Forge the future with a draw, create miracles. That's the way of a duelist. I accept Pot of Avarice effect draw. Kira drew 2 cards. At that moment, even the air along his arm's path seemed to sizzle, and his whole being seemed to shimmer with heat, as if reality itself was distorting. Kaiba's pupils contracted. The power of the spirits. But this strange sensation, could it be? Kira raised the drawn card. At the end of this fierce battle, for his final draw, fate responded. I tribute Blue Eyes Shining Dragon and Dragon Spirit of White, and with my soul my ace special summon to Kaiba's field. Awaken from the molten abyss, power of destruction and rebirth. Lava Golem. Molten lava surged like a volcanic eruption, its searing heat incinerating all, not even the gods, not even Blue Eyes Shining Dragon, could resist. The sunlight instantly dimmed, as if the stars themselves were devoured. A burning fist slammed onto Kaiba's field, and a towering figure slowly rose from the flames. Lava Golem, ATK 3000. Kaiba. Of course, that thing. Zane opened his mouth, as if he had 1,000 words stuck in his throat. Right. There's more than one way to take down Blue Eyes Shining Dragon. That was Kira's real ace. Only now did everyone realize it. Although Pot of Avarice shuffled back both Buster Bladers, it was just a feint. Among those 5 cards was his true ace Lava Golem. But even so, to shuffle 5 cards, then draw 2, and hit Lava Golem the only chance to win, on the very last draw. Zane couldn't help but look at Jaden. This seemed more like Jaden's kind of miracle draw than Kira's. Yet Jaden stood with hands on his hips, grinning. Told you, Kira's strength is beyond imagination. Zane. A Jaden-style godly top deck, but the card is something so sinister. Both luck and darkness in one. And not just that, Jaden added. Lava Golem inflicts 1000 damage to its controller during their standby phase. Kaiba, LP 1000. Not a point more or less, exactly 1000. And by the way, the 3000 Kaiba lost earlier was also from a Lava Golem punch. If there were an MVP for this duel, Lava Golem would be at 100% of the team's output, the real star of the match. But it's not over yet, Zane said. Lava Golem's effect activates in the standby phase, so Kaiba still gets to draw a card before that. It's a slim chance, but if it's Seto Kaiba, maybe. This turn isn't over, so Makaira the Destructor's effect is still in play, Kira said. I can still activate trap cards from my hand. So I activate this. Kira swept his hand. Trap card time seal. Skip your opponent's next draw phase. Everyone. Kaiba. Of course, as someone who'd thoroughly studied his old rival's deck including countless AI copies, Kaiba instantly recognized the card. Another one of Yugi's damn cards. So, Kaiba's draw phase is skipped, he can't draw, and immediately proceeds to the standby phase, Kira declared. And in the standby phase, Lava Golem deals 1000 damage to its controller. Kaiba looked at Kira again, still seeing the glow of the pendant, as if seeing an old friend. But as the searing heat of Lava Golem washed over him, he snapped back to reality. Looking again, there was no old friend, only his opponent. The duelist who had finally handed him a long overdue defeat, Fujiki Kira. And nothing more. Kaiba, LP 1000 LP 0. Chapter 423, Pick a card. Scorching lava fell, marking the duel's end. The onlookers outside the arena watched the scene, their expressions mixed, some strange, some with mouths agape. The entire place was eerily silent, with nothing to say. A duel like this, representing the clash of the world's top duelists, could truly be called a battle for the summit. Who could have expected it to end this way? Lava Golem. And when the duel ended, before Kira packed away his duel disc and the holograms faded, that burning iron brute actually glanced back at Kaiba, as if a little embarrassed. Its expression seemed to say, "Sorry I ate your dragon, but dueling isn't about personal grudges." Then the Lava Golem disappeared. Kaiba let out a long, heavy breath. He'd guarded against the dragon capture jar, the light imprisoning mirror, and even the endless trap holes his opponent set. He'd even played around the dragon's must-die anti-dragon Buster Blader. He'd countered everything, should have been fully prepared. And yet Lava Golem. Of course, he remembered that card. He'd been there the first time Merrick played Lava Golem in the Battle City tournament. That time, Merrick passed Lava Golem to Joey, leading to classic scenes like Joey's death and Joey on fire. Everyone present had been shocked such a hellish monster existed. Compared to back then, Kira's lava golem had improved. Originally, Merrick's golem dealt 700 damage during the controller's standby phase, but 10 years on, the card had been updated to deal 1000 matching the real-world version. Of course, most people wouldn't care about a mere 300-point difference. But Kaiba, having faced it, knew it wasn't just the card's development. Kira's ability to wield Lava Golem now surpassed even Merrick, the deck's founder. Alistair, who'd also suffered from Kira's Lava Golem barrage, would surely agree. Compared to him, Merrick seemed like a downright sunshiny guy, no sarcasm intended. Ahem, the winner, Fujiki Kira. It was the veteran judge, Roland, who first broke the silence and announced the result. If it had been any other Kaiba Corp judge, seeing their president lose, they'd probably have checked Kaiba's expression before declaring. But Roland, long used to Kaiba's ways, knew that process didn't matter, only win or lose. Losing is losing. Kaiba would never go for any special Kaiba Corp rules mean this duel doesn't count nonsense. Big brother. Mokuba jumped onto the stage. Kaiba gestured to him, signaling it was fine. He then walked straight toward Kira. Just half a year. Honestly, when I invited you to participate 6 months ago, I never expected you'd reach this level so quickly. Just luck, Kira replied with a nod. It was true. During the duel, he'd felt stronger than ever, perhaps thanks to the sealing device. Though the artifact hadn't shown any obvious effects, he could feel it strengthening his aura, or at least helping him resist Kaiba's overwhelming presence. No wonder the dark duelists risked everything for artifacts or cards infused with power. Just possessing such things, even without using them, could give a huge boost. Of course, it's all rather mysterious. Maybe it depends on the item's attributes and how it's used. Take the sealing device. Kira had had it for a while, and fought many life or death duels, but hadn't seen any clear effects until this duel. Maybe it was because his opponent was Kaiba, Adam's 3,000-year rival. Or maybe because this duel would determine who would face the final boss, the Arbiter. After all, the artifact was made for that purpose. You've proven yourself as a duelist. Congratulations. Kaiba spoke calmly. According to Battle City rules, you may take any card from me. Thank you, President Kaiba, Kira said. But I only participated because of your invitation, and over these months, you, Mokuba, and Kaiba Corp have helped me a lot. So let's skip the card selection. I've already chosen plenty from your collection. He meant it. If anything, he'd taken more than one rare card. He'd regularly carted away boxes from Kaiba's warehouse, to the point even he didn't know how many benefits he'd received. So, consider the rare card for this duel as already repaid in advance. But Kaiba snorted heavily. A win is a win. Don't get wishy-washy. Pick a card. Even if you choose Blue Eyes White Dragon, I won't flinch. Kira felt Kaiba's generosity. Kaiba always meant what he said. If Kira refused or picked a worthless card, he'd probably offend him instead. But still, Kira was at a loss. Come on, I don't even have a Blue Eyes. What use is your Blue Eyes White Dragon to me? As a mascot? Same with the rest of the Blue Eyes support. The whole system revolves around Blue Eyes White Dragon. No matter how rare or powerful the support cards, without the Blue Eyes, they're just mascots. As Kira pondered, he suddenly thought of something. Oh, President Kaiba, just a quick question. He considered a moment, then asked. I heard the world's Blue Eyes White Dragon originally had 4 copies. Is it true you keep the 4th one? Kaiba raised an eyebrow. Then, unexpectedly, he chuckled. Oh? Interested in the power of Blue Eyes? Just asking, Kira shrugged. I only heard the rumor. If not. Humph, even if it's not true, what's the harm in giving you a Blue Eyes? Do you think I, Seto Kaiba, look like a sore loser? Kira said nothing. No, he didn't doubt Kaiba's pride. He knew if Kaiba only had 3 Blue Eyes and Kira asked for 1, Kaiba would still probably hand it over. But then he'd never hear the end of it. Kaiba wouldn't rest until he won it back. But if the rumored 4th Blue Eyes really existed? Indeed, Kaiba admitted. That card does exist. P.S. Bonus chapters at 3000 PS. Chapter 424, Friends. Veteran Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans know, in this world, there were originally 4 Blue Eyes White Dragons. Each card was in a different owner's hands. One was with Grandpa Mewtwo. But Kaiba, introduced as a villain, used various means to gather all four, then tore up Grandpa's card right in front of him. Yet, despite that, the blue eyes still followed him loyally, no complaints. It may have been Kaiba's darkest act, though he'd never admit it. When the character was first created, Takahashi-sensei just wanted a pure villain, he hadn't planned for further development, or for Yu-Gi-Oh! To become a card game anime. Afterward, the fourth Blue Eyes was never mentioned again. But after Kaiba's mind break and subsequent redemption, rumors said he'd recovered the fourth card. Tearing up Blue Eyes was probably one of Kaiba's few regrets, even if he'd never show it. Over the years, he'd used advanced technology to try to restore the card. Rumor had it he'd succeeded. But as everyone knows, you can only have 3 copies of any card in a deck, so even with the fourth, he couldn't use it. So the legendary fourth Blue Eyes was just kept as a mascot at Kaiba Corp HQ. But rumor is rumor, this was the first time Kaiba admitted it in person. So, Blue Eyes White Dragon is your choice. Kaiba's face was unreadable. Very well. You'll receive the card when you return. Kaiba was a man of his word. If he said it, it would happen, Kira had no doubt. Thank you, President. In truth, there were probably only 4 Blue Eyes in this world, but that might only be true for this dimension. In the GX anime, K-Bomon Spirit also had a Blue Eyes deck, with 3 Blue Eyes, suggesting the spirit world had more. Some say K-Bomon was Kaiba himself in disguise, showing up just to inspire Jaden, but it's hard to say, there's little evidence in the anime. Don't thank me yet, you've got a bigger problem to deal with, Kaiba said coolly. Kira understood, following his gaze. He met the eyes of the Arbiter, across the field. The Arbiter stood with arms crossed, still wearing that polite smile, looking for all the world like a scholar, nothing like the terrifying evil god he was rumored to be. Fujiki Kira. He stood up, apparently speaking to Kira. But Kira quickly realized it wasn't traditional speech, they were too far apart. The voice sounded directly in his ear, or perhaps, his mind. Perhaps you'll be even more interesting than I expected. Will you be a better sacrifice than Seto Kaiba, I wonder? He licked his lips, grinning strangely at Kira, then left the arena. The finals were about to begin. After all the fighting on Duelist Kingdom, only 2 remained, so there was no need to draw lots for order. In 1 hour, on this isolated island, a new king of games would be crowned. And perhaps the fate of the world would be decided. Elsewhere, a dark aura hovered in midair, and in the darkness, a blurry image appeared, like a hologram. In the projection, scenes from the Duelist Island appeared. Kira and Kaiba's duel had just ended, and the finalists were decided. A man in white stood before the image, hands behind his back, frowning slightly. Fujiki Kira. He even beat Seto Kaiba, he muttered hoarsely. This guy. He narrowed his eyes, staring at Kira, but the more he looked, the more inscrutable Kira seemed. Just then, the door behind him opened. Someone stood at the entrance. Principal Mackenzie, should I go assist Reggie? Or? No need. The man addressed as Principal Mackenzie waved his hand. Yes, he was the American Duel Academy professor, Mackenzie, or rather, the body's current occupant. Now, the body belonged to Tragadaya, the ancient Egyptian royal family's nemesis, a spirit that had haunted the world for 3,000 years. But the world champion, Koyo Hibiki. The person hesitated. He's an important sample, right? Just letting him be taken. It doesn't matter. Principal Mackenzie Tragadaya waved dismissively, then looked back at the projection with a cold smile. To be precise, he was staring at Kira. This could get interesting. Let's wait and see. Yes, Principal. The person withdrew. The room fell into darkness again. Tragadaya sneered. Fujiki Kira, with multiple spirits and even a faint trace of the Pharaoh's aura, though the connection between Tragadaya and the Millennium items ran deep, so even a faint trace could be sensed. This boy, up against Ulrich Halkos. He decided it was worth watching. Once the two revealed their true colors, he'd make his move. Amused by his own cunning, Tragadaya let out a sinister laugh. You actually made it to the finals. Amazing. Jaden looked at Kira with admiration. After so many duels today, both were hungry, so they headed to the buffet to recharge. Just lucky, Kira said, as usual. But be careful in the finals. That arbiter guy, how to put it, he's really strong. And he feels different. Kuri. Winged Kuruba appeared. Kira couldn't understand. What did it say? It said it senses it too. Arbiter hasn't even used his full strength yet, Jaden explained. I see. Kira nodded. No surprise there. At the same time, next to him, the spirit of Lava Golem manifested, newly awakened after the intense battle. Kira had suspected Lava Golem had a spirit before, and seen signs in past duels, but today's fierce fight seemed to have fully awakened it. Roar, said Lava Golem. What did it say? This time Jaden couldn't understand. It said it doesn't matter, he'll act, Kira translated. Oh, good. Jaden nodded, reassured. But wait, Kira couldn't understand Kuruba, but could understand Lava Golem? Jaden set the thought aside. But seriously, that guy's really strong, even you can't afford to be careless. I know, Kira nodded. Oh, right, since that's the case. Jaden suddenly stood up, rummaged through his card box, and pulled out a card. Here, use this in the finals, he said, handing it to Kira. Consider it from both me and Mr. Koyo. Kira blinked. Instinctively, he thought, what is this? What if it bricks my hand? Not that he blamed Jaden after all, 9 out of 10 of Jaden's cards were questionable. But he took a look, and was surprised. This card. You can use it, right? Jaden smiled. Indeed. Kira thought a moment, then accepted without fuss. All right, then I'll borrow your and Mr. Koyo's power. Thanks, Jaden. Haha, what are friends for? They fist bumped. Friends should help each other. Chapter 425, Final Battle. The final battle. Judge Roland stood at the center of the field. Kira and the Arbiter faced off, both expressionless. Everyone else stood at the sides, watching with worry or anticipation. Kira. Mokuba muttered. Will he be okay? He'd hoped his brother would win the last match, but Kira was also a good friend. They all knew how terrifying the Arbiter was, not someone a normal person could defeat. He knew Kira was extraordinary, but still worried. He'll be fine. Hey! Mokuba turned in surprise, only to see Kaiba standing behind him, arms crossed, calm as ever, his eyes even more confident than Kira himself. Big brother. Mokuba couldn't help but ask. That guy will find a way. Kaiba narrowed his eyes, staring at Kira, with an unspoken thought. If he dares lose to someone else right after beating me, I'll never forgive him. Meanwhile, Midori had left Koyo's hospital room to watch the finals. She didn't know the Arbiter's exact origins, but knew he was no good and a threat to the world. She desperately hoped Kira would win. Fujiki Kira, I've learned about you, the Arbiter said, eyes narrowing. Fascinating. Oh. Kira replied, interested. Care to elaborate? The Arbiter was surprised by his composure, but continued with a chuckle. A boy with no talent, who risked everything to walk the path of a champion now at this level. He clicked his tongue. Truly an inspiring duelist's journey. Kira. What is this guy talking about? Before he could ask, Roland swung his arm down, shouting, finals begin. Then he leapt off the field. The Arbiter said no more, activating his dual disc. Kira, though confused, did the same. Duel. X2. Arbiter, LP 4000. Kira, LP 4000. I'll go first. Draw. Kira took the initiative, nothing to be polite about against this cheat of an opponent. He drew his card. I activate the spell card, take over 5. Kira played Jaden's anime-only card right away. Send the top 5 cards of my deck to the graveyard. 5 cards were drawn and slid into the graveyard slot, with mechanical clicks. Kira checked what resources he'd just sent. I summon Ojima Yellow in defense position. Ojima Yellow, Def 1000. Set 2 cards face down. Turn end. The first turn, building graveyard resources in a defensive field. The Arbiter spoke calmly, but his eyes glimmered oddly. A textbook first turn. Very much your style, or should I say, the current Fujiki Kira. But have your duels always been like this? Kira didn't understand, but ignored him for now. Silent, are we? Interesting, the Arbiter said, half his face in shadow. We're all fighting with our secrets, not wanting to talk is understandable. Kira frowned. The Arbiter didn't elaborate. My turn. Draw. He paused. A slot on his dual disc popped out, and the card he drew didn't even go to his hand, it was slammed straight onto the field. Since this is the final battle, let's get right to it. Field spell, Seal of Orichalcos. The card was absorbed into the disc, electricity surged, spreading across the arena. Green light burst out, forming a hexagram, engulfing the field in a glowing barrier. Everyone present was familiar with this dangerous seal. This time, it shone even brighter, more ominous. Lightning roared around the barrier, thunder crackled through the air. Big brother, it's that seal again! Mokuba cried. Whoever loses this duel will. Yeah, it's expected, Kaiba replied calmly. He shot a look at Kira like a knife. But you'll win in the end, right, Fujiki Kira? With this, only one person will leave this barrier when the duel ends. The arbiter drew another card. I activate Pot of Greed, draw 2 cards. He calmly drew 2, then immediately played another. Graceful Charity, draw 3, then discard 2. He looked at Kira. Honestly, it's a shame. We don't have to fight like this. Watching you these past days, I see we have a lot in common. Oh. Kira raised an eyebrow. Like what? He was curious what he could possibly have in common with this cheating snake. We're both skilled at piloting different decks, never revealing our trump cards easily, always confident. The arbiter studied him as he spoke. And we both hide our true depths. Kira said nothing. The arbiter didn't mind his silence. He smiled and continued. But I can see you're different. For this duel, I'll use my trump card. I summon Gorlog from my hand. Anime original card. Flames swirled on his field, forming a massive, fiery beast with blazing eyes. In its hand was a sword of fire, its blade flowing with living flame, and a crown of eternal fire atop its head. Gorlog, ATK 1000. Gorlog's effect, it gains 500 ATK for each fire monster on the field. It's a fire monster, so plus 500. And with Seal of Orichalcos, another plus 500. Gorlog, ATK 2000. Big brother, that's Alistair's, Mokuba blurted. Kaiba said nothing, but nodded. Most people had never seen this strange monster. It was another card not available outside, created by Doma, and used by Alistair when he first dueled Kaiba. Confused? The arbiter chuckled. Don't worry, you'll soon understand its power. He waved a hand. Battle. Gorlog, attack Ojima Yellow. Chapter 426, Secret? Gorlog swung his blazing sword at lightning speed. The audience saw only a flash of fire as it pierced the arena, burning away Ojima Yellow on Kira's field until nothing remained. Ojima Yellow, Def 1000. The arbiter continued, Gorlog's effect activates. After destroying a monster in battle and sending it to the graveyard, Gorlog can special summon that destroyed monster to your own field in attack position at the end of the turn. The summoned monster's effects are negated, but its attribute becomes fire. A battle-stealing effect. Jaden couldn't help but exclaim. And since its ATK increases with the number of fire monsters, that's terrifying, Midori said gravely. What a fearsome monster. Gorlog's flames shot from its sword, piercing the ground and binding the now defeated Ojima Yellow in the underworld. Activate set card, Kira declared. Trap card, Ojima Marble. When a face-up Ojima monster you control is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, shuffle it back into the deck, draw 2 cards, then discard 1. Anime card. The defeated Ojima monster vanished from the graveyard, Kira shuffled it back into his deck, and drew 2 cards, discarding 1. With its target gone, Ojima Yellow faded into light, and Gorlog's flames grasped at nothing, returning fruitlessly. Ojima, the arbiter frowned. To use such a weak monster in the finals, against himself? Unthinkable. Even the arbiter, who had switched strategies against different finalists, had brought his main deck for the finals out of caution. Was Kira looking down on him by using fodder monster? Of course not. Facing a boss of this level, Kira wouldn't be so reckless. But he knew the arbiter excelled in multiple tactics and was adept at countering opponents' decks. Using unpredictable strategies here would give Kira the element of surprise and avoid being countered. After the last duel, Kira felt his fate energy was at an all-time high, more in tune with his deck than ever before. In this state, he could handle even mismatched systems with ease. Spectators, including the arbiter, likely expected a clash of titans in the finals, a battle for the world's fate. But none could guess what awaited the arbiter. The arbiter, set 1 card. End turn. My turn, draw, Kira said. At the start of my turn, the card I discarded with Oja Marble was Treeborn Frog. Treeborn Frog's effect: if it's in the graveyard and I control no spells or traps, it can special summon itself during my standby phase. He raised his dual disc, and a beam of light brought Treeborn Frog onto the field. Treeborn Frog, Def 100. Also during the standby phase, take over 5 in my graveyard activates, banish it and 1 copy from the deck, then draw a card. Kira drew, then immediately played, spell card Spiderweb. Add a card sent to your opponent's graveyard last turn to your hand. Anime card. White threads shot from the card, snatching a card from the Arbiter's graveyard. I add Pot of Greed to my hand, then activate it to draw 2. The Arbiter, using my Pot of Greed. Kira drew 2, then played 1 at once. Spell card Smashing Ground. Destroy the opponent's monster with the highest defense. A crack ran beneath Gorlog, causing it to fall and shatter. I only had Gorlog, the Arbiter nodded. It's destroyed. Now, I tribute Treeborn Frog to tribute summon. The Nemesis of Magic. Spell Canceller. Treeborn Frog vanished in a swirl of light, and a massive white machine appeared with a roar. Spell Canceller, ATK 1800. Oh! Kira's Spell Canceller. Jaden yelled. As long as Spell Canceller is on the field, neither player can activate spell cards, and all spell effects are negated, Kira declared. The field spell Seal of Orichalcos is present, the Arbiter said coolly, but it cannot be negated. Kira ignored him, direct attack with Spell Canceller. A blast of energy struck the Arbiter. He stood firm, calmly absorbing the blow. Arbiter, LP 4000 LP 2200. Excellent. Even Zane couldn't help but cheer. First blood. Kira has seized the advantage. Kira set 3 cards. Set 3 cards. End turn. The Arbiter calmly brushed imaginary dust from his shoulder. A neat attack, and you've sealed my spell cards. The Arbiter narrowed his eyes. Spell Canceller was troublesome for him. With spell cards sealed, he couldn't activate the higher levels of the Orichalcos barrier, leaving his deck's strategy hamstrung. Could Kira have known about his deck's features and chosen Spell Canceller as a counter? But only Darts had ever used Orichalcos before. Only Adam and Kaiba had seen it in action. How did this man know? Did Seto Kaiba tell him? No, he suspected Kira might even know more than Kaiba. The Arbiter's frown deepened, finding Kira more inscrutable and himself more cautious. Fujiki Kira, what secret are you hiding? Chapter 427, A Flaw in the Lock, Bonus. My turn, draw. The Arbiter drew. But before he could move, Kira snapped his fingers and flipped a set card. Activate Trap, Ojima Trio. Special summon 3 Ojima tokens to your opponent's field. Yellow, green, and black tokens leapt onto the Arbiter's field, each settling into Snack, Read, or Nap. Sorry to intrude. Hope you don't mind us using your yard. ZZZ. The Arbiter frowned at these fodder monsters given to him. Next, activate another set card, Continuous Trap. Kira swept his hand and activated another. Spatial Collapse. Jaden jumped up, that combo. He remembered it well. It was the combo that brought endless trouble to the Paradox brothers with Kira. The Space Lock with Ojima cards. Spatial Collapse. As long as this card is on the field, each player can only have 5 cards on their field. If there are more, send cards to the graveyard until there are 5. Once the limit is reached, neither player can play more cards. Mokuba, the Arbiter has 3 Ojima tokens, the Seal of Orichalcos, and 1 set card. Exactly 5, Kaiba said. Humph, such weird tactics. He couldn't help but smirk, glancing at the Arbiter. With this, the Arbiter couldn't summon new monsters or set new spells/traps. And with Spell Canceller, spell cards were already unusable. The Arbiter's expression turned odd. Spatial Collapse, combined with Ojima, seals my ability to play cards. That's a terrifying tactic, very much your style. He studied Kira. Doma knows everything in this world. I've investigated you, Fujiki Kira. You used to dislike such tactics. In fact, for most of your life, you were a completely ordinary amateur duelist. Yet in just half a year, you rose from obscurity to the top of the dueling world. What an inspiring story. Kira frowned, silent. The Arbiter didn't mind his lack of response, only lowering his voice. One question. At this stage, on this stage, are you really Fujiki Kira, or someone else? Kira's heart skipped. Could he have guessed Kira was a transmigrator? But after a moment's surprise, Kira regained his composure. Even if the Arbiter knew, it wouldn't affect the duel. He just needed to focus. Not phased at all. You must think, with spatial collapse locking me out, I'm as good as dead, right? He smiled mysteriously. Ojimatrio's tokens can't be tribute for tribute summons, so unless you can reduce their number, you can't break the lock. A fearsome tactic. But not without a flaw. He raised his hand, a red trap card spinning out from his graveyard. From the graveyard, breakthrough skill. During your own turn, banish this card from your graveyard to negate the effect of one of your opponent's monsters until the end of the turn. Mokuba was shocked, activating a trap from the graveyard. Kaiba explained, traps activated from the graveyard don't need to be placed on the field. He caught that loophole. Breakthrough skill negates spell canceller's effect for this turn. A ring of light bound the white machine, spell canceller's power faded. With spells no longer sealed, I activate. The Arbiter flipped his set card. Spell card, Sky Union. Tribute 3 Ojima tokens to special summon from the deck. Air Fortress Ziggurat. The 3 tokens vanished, replaced by a sky-piercing beam. A black steel fortress, like a floating mountain, cast a foreboding shadow. Gears, pipes, and cannon arrays bristled with destructive power. Air Fortress Ziggurat, ATK 2500-3000, Orichalco's boost. Ziggurat! Mokuba exclaimed. Alistair's fortress was also designed by Doma, Kaiba noted. Oh, right, Mokuba remembered. Doma's card factory really did make terrifying things. Ojima tokens can't be tribute for normal summons, but other forms of tributing are allowed. So I used them for Ziggurat's special summon. The Arbiter said coldly. Now, my field has only 2 cards, so Spatial Collapse's lock is broken. Mokuba gulped. He found a way to use traps from the graveyard and a loophole to tribute the tokens for something other than a tribute summon. He's amazing. He glanced nervously at Kira and his brother, but both seemed unfazed, as if expecting this counter. Air Fortress Ziggurat, attack spell canceller. Hundreds of cannons locked on, firing a net of death flames, lightning and energy waves raining down, destroying spell canceller instantly. Kira, LP 4000-2800. Battle phase over. The Arbiter solemnly drew another card, then smiled. This card can only be activated while Seal of Orichalcos is on the field. This duel will now enter a new stage. His dual discs field zone opened again, blue lightning crackling. By sending the Seal of Orichalcos to the graveyard, I activate the second barrier. Orichalcos Duderos. Chapter 428, The Second Barrier, Bonus. The second barrier, Orichalcos Duderos, activates. A second green light shot into the sky, forming a rune-inscribed ring, sealing the arena even more tightly. The second barrier is up, Mokuba murmured, looking at Kira with deepening worry. As it activated, the Arbiter's Orichalcos mark glowed, his power surging, the beast in his eyes growing fiercer. Orichalcos Duderos counts as the Seal of Orichalcos and has all its effects, the Arbiter said. And it has a new ability, once per turn, during your main phase, recover 500 LP for each monster you control. Right now, I have only Air Fortress Ziggurat, so I recover 500. Waves of energy flowed from the fortress into the Arbiter. Arbiter, LP 2200-2700. Set 3 cards. End turn. He paused. End phase, Ziggurat's effect activates. At each of my end phases, I special summon a robot token in defense position. A small robot appeared, crouching in defense. Robot token, Def 0. While a robot token is on the field, you can only attack it. Kira had seen this effect before against Alistair's fortress, so he wasn't surprised. My turn, draw. Kira drew, then flipped his set cards. Activate Good Goblin Housekeeping. Draw a number of cards equal to the number of Good Goblin Housekeeping in my graveyard +1, then return 1 card to the bottom of the deck. And a second copy as well. Both activated. And now, quick play spell emergency provisions. Send spells/traps from your field to the graveyard to recover 1000 LP each. I send both Good Goblin Housekeeping and Spatial Collapse 3 cards to recover 3000 LP. All 3 dissolved into golden light, surging into Kira. Kira, LP 2800-5800. Both good goblin housekeeping cards are now in the graveyard, plus the third one sent by Takeover 5 earlier. I draw 4 cards total, put 1 back. So, 2 activations draw 8, return 2. A massive hand refill. End of effect, moving to standby phase. With no spells/traps on my field, Treeborn Frog in the graveyard can be special summoned. A vortex opened, and Treeborn Frog hopped out again. Treeborn Frog, Def 100. Impressive, refilling your hand and clearing your field to enable Treeborn Frog, the Arbiter noted. Plus a huge LP boost. Such precise tactics, offense, defense, staying power. Can the old Fujiki Kira really do this? Kira frowned. Who are you really? The Arbiter demanded coldly. Kira paused. I don't understand what you mean, he replied coolly. Drop the act. Let's be honest, the Arbiter said. I've investigated you. Your life was so ordinary, your dueling career unimpressive. Suddenly, you make miraculous progress. The ordinary may be fooled, but not me. If you're worried about your true identity being revealed, don't be. With the second barrier, this conversation is blocked from others, only you and I can hear it. He narrowed his eyes. So, tell me, where are you from? A high-level spirit? A monster born from the darkness of the mind, like Tragoedia? Or a powerful soul residing in this body, like the Pharaoh? Or... He lowered his voice. A god from another world, like me. Kira was stunned, then realized the Arbiter thought they were the same kind of being. In his eyes, for a loser to suddenly become a dueling god, there was only one explanation. A spirit or god soul taking over. And since Kira played with such ruthless and inscrutable tactics, the Arbiter had lumped him in with the likes of Tragoedia or Zork. I am who I am, believe it or not, Kira said, not caring about the misunderstanding. Tribute Treeborn Frog. Tribute summon. The evil monarch from the abyss. Chaos the Shadow Monarch. A deafening roar, darkness engulfed everything as the giant appeared, crackling with purple-blue lightning. Chaos the Shadow Monarch, ATK 2400. When Chaos is summoned, banish 1 card from the field. Nice! Mokuba exclaimed. Ziggurat isn't affected by spells or traps, but monster effects can break through. Kira swept his hand. Chaos banish Air Fortress Ziggurat. Chapter 429, Ryu Senshi. Endless darkness gathered in the Shadow Monarch's hands, forming an orb like the gloom of the underworld, shooting toward the massive fortress in the sky that blocked out the sun. Humph, Air Fortress Ziggurat can't be affected by spells or traps, so you're trying to break through with a monster effect now. The Arbiter remarked. But such a simple tactic won't work. I activate the trap Spellbinding Illusion. 1 monster on the field loses 500 ATK, and its effect is negated. Manga card. He raised his hand toward Kira's Shadow Monarch on the field. I reduce Chaos the Shadow Monarch ATK by 500 and negate its effect. A transparent magic circle locked around the Shadow Monarch like invisible shackles, instantly dimming the dark orb he had just fired. The Shadow Monarch grunted, the dark aura around him fading. Chaos the Shadow Monarch, ATK 2400 ATK 1900. The orb of darkness vanished in midair, unable to strike the colossal fortress. Oh, what a pity, Mokuba lamented, just a bit short. Don't rush, Kaiba replied coolly. This is just the beginning. Sure enough, after his first attempt failed, Kira immediately played his next card. Spell card Metamorphosis. I tribute a monster on the field to special summon a fusion monster with the same level. I tribute the level 6 Chaos the Shadow Monarch. A green spell card appeared behind Chaos, enveloping him in energy until only a vague silhouette remained. The outline rapidly transformed, growing into a warrior clad in dragon armor, wielding a blue blade, landing on Kira's field. Level 6, Ryu Senshi, Special Summon. Ryu Senshi, ATK 2000. The Arbiter stayed silent. Next, I banish from the graveyard the light monster Zaborg the Thunder Monarch and the dark monster Chaos the Shadow Monarch, the first sent this turn. Beams of light and darkness spiraled upward, vanishing into a chaotic vortex. Power surged through the field, like a hurricane battering the transparent Orichalco's barrier. Oh! Here it comes, the Arbiter looked up at the vortex. Light and darkness, sacrificed to the field of chaos for the legendary swordsman returns. Kira swung his arm. Worlds divide. Descend now. Blackluster soldier envoy of the beginning. Chaotic light descended from the sky, his sword cleaving through the chaos. The armored warrior landed in a crouch, then stood, sword gleaming, eyes locked fiercely on the Arbiter. Blackluster Soldier Envoy of the Beginning, ATK 3000. This was the reason he came to this world. The source of evil that once sealed him away, now coveting both the world of spirits and duelists, the most terrifying evil god of this era. The legendary warrior. You seem much stronger than before. Looks like you found a worthy master, the Arbiter said calmly. Envoy of the Beginning, activate effect, Kira declared. Once per turn, by giving up this turn's attack, I can banish one monster on the field. Going after the fortress again. The Arbiter said. The fortress's tokens can block attacks, but monster effects bypass them, Kira replied. Envoy, banish the fortress. Chaos Dimension slash. Sword gleamed a dimension-shattering slash. Light and dark fused on the blade, forming a silver dragon that split the heavens. Then I activate my set card, Trap Memory Loss, the Arbiter said. Negate the effect of an attacking monster, and change it to defense position. He's got another counter. Jaden exclaimed from the sidelines. The air fortress ziggurat was immune to spells and traps, tokens blocked attacks, and now he's ready to counter monster effects to a wall of defense. But Kira was prepared, it's useless. Ryu Senshi, block it for me. As memory loss triggered, its magic hadn't yet locked onto Blackluster Soldier when Ryu Senshi leapt out. His sword flashed, slashing through the trap card, dispelling its energy vortex. The Arbiter frowned slightly. That monster's effect. Ryu Senshi can pay 1000 life points to negate a trap's effect, Kira explained. Kira, LP 5800 LP 4800. So that's why you used Metamorphosis to summon Ryu Senshi. Mokuba cheered. Zane also praised, a monster that counters traps, clearing the way for Blackluster Soldier's arrival and attack. Ryu Senshi may be obscure for modern players, but when Metamorphosis was legal, it was a top-tier a staple card. Its proper fusion materials are Warrior Digrapher and Spirit Ryu strictly limited. No substitutes like King of the Swamp allowed, making it hard to summon by fusion alone, and nearly useless that way. But its advantage, it doesn't require fusion summon to appear. So, naturally, it became Metamorphosis's go-to level 6 fusion. No fusion summon restriction, built-in trap negation, and immunity to spell cards that targeted almost certainly the top level 6 fusion of its era. If it's lacking anywhere, it's only that at 2000 ATK, it can't beat Cyber Dragon. So, under Ryu Senshi's protection, Blackluster Soldier's effect resolves. Chaos Dimension slash. Kira declared. The sword finally fell, leaving a dramatic spatial fissure. The fortress was sucked in by a powerful force, vanishing into nothing. Yes. Mokuba shouted. The fortress is gone. Go, Kira. The Arbiter remained calm, his expression unreadable. Kira didn't attack, but set another card. I activate the spell Shield Crush to destroy a defense position monster. This will destroy the robot token. For the first time, the Arbiter's face shifted slightly. Chapter 430, Unknown Details. Spell card Shield Crush, activate. A green beam shot from the card, piercing the Arbiter's last line of defense. The robot token exploded into fragments. Using Shield Crush on a monster with 0 def yet, I get it, Mokuba said. Blackluster Soldier can't attack after using his effect, so clearing the token lets him deal damage later. Is that really it? Though the Arbiter frowned, his eyes fixed on Kira, as if to read his mind. The Orichalco's second barrier, Orichalco's Deuteros, hid another effect he hadn't revealed. Compared to the first barrier, the second offered powerful counterattacks. When the opponent declares an attack, you can tribute a monster to negate the attack and destroy the attacking monster. This is Orichalco's Deuteros's absolute defense. As long as you have monsters, you can reflect any attack. He had a robot token. If Kira had attacked it, he could have used it as ammo for a counter. Now, with an empty field, with no monsters to tribute, the absolute defense is gone. But he still had options. Blackluster Soldier can't attack this turn, but Ryu Senshi can, Kira said. Ryu Senshi, attack directly. The Arbiter raised his hand. I activate the trap, Widespread Ruin. When the opponent declares an attack, destroy the highest ATK attack position monster they control. Mokuba was shocked, that would destroy Blackluster Soldier. Ryu Senshi attacks, but the trap targets Blackluster Soldier? Kira remained calm. Then Ryu Senshi's effect activates again. Pay 1000 life points to negate the trap. Kira, LP 4800 LP 3800. The Arbiter frowned again, and the crowd was stunned. This Ryu Senshi's negation isn't once per turn? Kira declared, widespread ruin effect negated. Ryu Senshi's blade flashed, destroying the trap card and dispersing its energy. Now, nothing stood in the way. The warrior's sword cut through, slicing with overwhelming force. Arbiter, LP 2700 LP 700. TCH. Damage in the barrier is real, both physical and mental. Plus, Kira's monsters are fueled by dark power, every blow is supernatural. But such pain means little to a serpent god. What matters is how much Kira knows about him. He narrowed his eyes, scrutinizing Kira. Kira could have just been dealing damage, but the Arbiter sensed more. He knows about Orichalcos Duderosa's hidden effect. That raises more questions. If he knows that, what else does he know? The Arbiter felt a tinge of irritation. He has existed for countless ages, his years forgotten. In the past, darts acted for him, secretly building power for 10,000 years, eventually forming the mighty Doma organization. He always had the upper hand, knowing everything about his enemies, exploiting their darkness as their weakness. Even 3,000 years ago, when the Egyptian pharaohs fought Zork, he watched from the shadows. So when Adam searched for his past, Darts and the serpent god already knew his true name. They knew the pharaoh's name was his power, and a seal. In his nameless state, they faced only a weakened king. No way would they help him recover. If the pharaoh had remembered his name and invoked the creator god of light, a single attack would have obliterated the serpent god. Though Adam once wavered under Dart's manipulations, he nearly succumbed to darkness, a testament to Dart's skill. But this time, for the first time, the Arbiter felt at a disadvantage, as if Kira knew all his tricks, while he understood nothing about Kira's tactics, origins, or mind. Good, only 700 life points left. Jaden cheered. Kira is insanely strong, just a little more to go. The others watched silently, holding their breath. In just one turn, both sides exchanged attacks and counters. The Arbiter's counterattacks were fierce, but Kira calmly neutralized every move, reducing his life points to a sliver. It seemed Kira was ahead, but on reflection it was risky. Without Metamorphosis and Ryu Senshi, he couldn't have cleared the fortress. Black Luster Soldier would have been destroyed, and his situation would be dire next turn. The Arbiter, my turn, draw. He revealed his drawn card. Spell cards, spell books from the pot. Both players draw 3 cards. Manga card. His face darkened as he drew. Looks like I underestimated you. But not anymore. I'll uncover the truth hidden in your shell, your darkest secrets. He set a card. Then he drew another. Orichalcos Kyatera. By discarding a card and paying 500 life points I can special summon it from my hand. Arbiter, LP 700 LP 200. He discarded a card and summoned the monster. Come, Kyatera. Chapter 431, Arbiter's Counterattack, Bonus. A bizarre eye opened in the Arbiter's back row. A spiky, ball-shaped monster landed lightly on his field, its single eye spinning as it surveyed everything. Orichalcos Kyatera, summoned. Orichalcos Kyatera, Def 500. That Kyatera again, big brother, Mokuba said. Yeah, the origin of the Orichalcos system, Kaiba replied. Jaden and Midori grew tense. They'd seen Kyatera's power before, when Koyo was defeated by it. When Kyatera was summoned, I discarded card of compensation. When sent to the graveyard from hand, I draw 2 cards. The Arbiter calmly revealed another card. At this moment, quick play spell, serial spell, discard all cards in hand to copy a normal spell's effect. He discarded his hand, and another spell card appeared alongside card of compensation. I copy card of compensation, so I draw 4 cards in total. He drew 4 cards at once. I summon Mystic Tomato in attack mode. A red, round tomato appeared, its leafy top like a small hat, though it looks more like a Halloween pumpkin, eyes glinting with malice. Orichalcos Duderos has the same effect as the first barrier. Mystic Tomato gains 500 ATK. Mystic Tomato, ATK 1400 ATK 1900. Then Orichalcos Duderos's effect activates, recover 500 life points for each monster I control. I have 2 monsters, so I gain 1000 life points. Arbiter, LP 200 LP 1200. Now, battle phase, the Arbiter said casually. Mystic Tomato, attack Blackluster Soldier. Once again, a weaker monster suicides into Blackluster Soldier. The others were tense, they'd seen this trick before. Again. Mystic Tomato charged, forcing Blackluster Soldier to retaliate. Sword flashed, slicing Tomato in two. When Orichalco's Kyotera is on the field, all battle damage I'd take from monster battles is absorbed by Kyotera and becomes zero. Kyotera's eye opened wide, absorbing all the sword's energy, no damage to the Arbiter. Then, Mystic Tomato's effect. When destroyed by battle, special summon a dark monster with 1500 or less ATK from the deck. Special summon a second Mystic Tomato. A beam shot from the deck, summoning another Tomato. Mystic Tomato, ATK 1400 ATK 1900. Second Tomato attacks. Again, Blackluster Soldier slashes it in two. Battle damage is absorbed by Kyotera. Special summon the third Tomato. Mystic Tomato, ATK 1400 ATK 1900. He's accumulating damage in Kyotera again. Jaden frowned. Zane said, when Kyotera leaves the field, it summons the terrifying Orichalco's Shun Aurus, whose ATK equals the damage Kyotera absorbed. It can easily reach tens of thousands. The third Tomato charged and was destroyed, its energy absorbed by Kyotera. Third Tomato's effect: special summon a dark monster with 1500 or less ATK. No fourth Tomato was possible. The Arbiter smiled, raising his arm. A beam shot from the deck, bursting into a swirl of thorns. I special summon. Yubel. This surprised everyone, especially Jaden, who stepped forward at the name. A storm and vortex erupted as thorny vines whirled. The demon's heterochromatic eyes opened, rising, vines waving like tentacles. Yubel, ATK 0 ATK 500, Orichalco's boost. Yubel. Though he knew this wasn't his own partner, Jaden was still shaken seeing Yubel on the field. Mystic Tomato can summon that? That's a level 10 monster. Mokuba said. But it's dark and has 1500 or less ATK, Kaiba replied. Battle phase continues, monsters summoned during battle can attack, the Arbiter said. Yubel attacks Blackluster Soldier. Yubel only has 0 ATK even boosted, just 500, but no one dares underestimate her. Yubel's effect. Mokuba tensed. This monster has built-in thorns. She negates battle damage and inflicts it on the opponent instead. If this attack goes through, it'll deal massive damage. Yubel can't be destroyed by battle, and I take no damage from her battles, the Arbiter said. She also has a second effect. Before damage calculation, she inflicts to your monster the battle damage I would have taken. Anime effect. Her real-life card was changed, it must be attacked to trigger, and it inflicts the attacker's ATK as damage. The effects are similar, but the details differ. Thorns lashed out at Blackluster Soldier, who was forced to slash back. Yubel's stats are weak, but the sword pierced her easily. Yubel moaned, but as the sword hit, more thorns erupted, reflecting the energy back at Kira. But Kira remained calm, revealing a card. Clear Kuruba's effect, Kira said. When a monster's effect would inflict damage, I discard Clear Kuruba to negate that effect. Chapter 432, The Battle That Wagers the World. Kuruba. This tiny monster leaps onto the field at the critical moment. Its small form swells instantly, becoming a massive, unbreakable shield that blocks all the vines unleashed by Yubel. Nice. Mokuba can't help but cheer. Even Yubel's attacks were completely blocked. Kira's dueling really leaves no gaps. No wonder even my brother. He stops as soon as the words leave his mouth, suddenly realizing something's off. He quickly glances at Kaiba, who, just a moment ago, had a hint of approval on his face. But now, hearing Mokuba's words, Kaiba's smile instantly vanishes and his expression turns stern. So Yubel's attack was stopped too, the Arbiter says coldly. The battle phase is over. But if you think you've made it through just because of that, you're being far too optimistic. He reveals another card from his hand. I activate the spell card Reggi. Mokuba is shocked. Reggi? That card is banned in tournaments. Reggi is one of the few cards, like Chaos Emperor Dragon, that's explicitly stated as forbidden in the anime. But Reggi's ban was from the DM era, and back then, cards that could deal direct effect damage without cost were also banned. The anime did have forbidden cards, but the banned/restricted list was always a bit different from real life. Now, Cards that deal effect damage have been proven to be just average in practice, so by the GX era they're unbanned. But a board nuke like Reggi? Of course, it's still forbidden. Technically, using a forbidden card should get you disqualified. The Arbiter should have lost by now in this duelist kingdom. But everyone knows by now, this isn't about winning or losing a tournament. This duel is for the fate of the world itself. Betting your life means there are no bans or limits. Heavy, leaden clouds gather overhead, like the anger of the gods brewing. Lightning crackles, thunder roars, countless electric serpents dance in the sky, weaving a dense net. A bolt of lightning splits the sky, like a whip of divine wrath, crashing down with destructive force. Blinding light fills the world, lightning following after, tearing through the air like a sword. Reggi destroys all monsters on the opponent's field. Simple and brutal, yet containing absolute power, it sweeps the field in an instant. Both the Blackluster Soldier and Ryu Senshi are obliterated in the flash. Hey! Using a forbidden card? That's dirty! Mokuba yells. You're disqualified. The Arbiter remains unfazed, indifferent. Clearly, the idea of winning a tournament never mattered to him. After all, to a demon god out to destroy the world, reputation is meaningless. In a shadow duel, the only rule is the duel itself. No matter, Kira says calmly. This duel is for the fate of the world. It's only natural that both sides use every means possible. Oh? You can stay so calm. Does that mean you still think you can win, even like this? Kira neither confirms nor denies. The Arbiter muses for a moment. You know, we don't actually have to fight, he says, squinting at Kira. I still don't know what you really are, but I doubt the human world has much to do with you, does it? Kira. The sneaky snake is probably thinking, with this guy's scheming, he's no ordinary duelist, probably some evil spirit or dark being possessing this boy. Maybe they don't have to be enemies, maybe there's even a chance to recruit him. But Kira is at a loss. Wait, did you just kick me out of humanity with a few words? That's slander. There's no duelist more upright than me in this world. Since the moment humans gained wisdom, darkness has spread, the Arbiter says flatly. I have existed for endless ages, seeing far more than any human could imagine. That's why I can bear witness to this. The fall of once great Atlantis, and the birth of new civilizations, flourishing to this day. Ages pass, people change, regions, tribes, cultures, roots all different. But all humans, without exception, repeat war, hatred, and plunder, endlessly hurting each other. What I bring is the darkness they themselves created. It is fate. Even if you stop me, new darkness will eventually take form. The chain of hatred will continue without end. Like the hatred of the Doma swordsman. Kira says quietly. The Arbiter frowns slightly. Kira doesn't elaborate, but the meaning is clear. Past and present, the Doma swordsmen have always viewed loyalty to their organization as life's purpose, driven by endless hatred. But ironically, that hatred was sown by the very organization they serve. Their tragedies, inner darkness all orchestrated behind the scenes by orichalcos. If that's how the swordsman's lives are, who's to say how much of history's hatred and darkness was this person's doing? Indeed, sometimes in human history, I'm not just a bystander, the Arbiter admits. Sometimes, I get involved, but all I do is give a little nudge from behind. If humans had no darkness or evil in their hearts, things would never have gotten this far. If you say so, Kira chuckles. Going by what happened to the Doma swordsman, you call that a little nudge? Sure, whatever you say, boss. Very well. It's a shame we can't see eye to eye, the Arbiter says gravely. As a duelist, you have remarkable skill. Perhaps we didn't need to be enemies. But since you insist, don't think I'm afraid of you. With a flourish, he sets another card. Set one card in my back row. A burst of golden light erupts from his back row, and a shadowy figure rises from the ground. It's like a lotus blooming from the abyss. When I activated Serial Spell, I discarded Samsara Lotus from my hand, the Arbiter says coldly. When Samsara Lotus is in the graveyard at the end phase, it can special summon itself in attack position. Anime effect. In the anime, this card was Yubel's perfect partner. But when made into a real card, a restriction was added. This effect can only be used if you have no other spells/traps in your back row, making it much less practical. No one could have guessed that, years later, Konami would print a new, even stronger version as Yubel's dedicated support card. Arbiter, Then, Yubel's effect: if Yubel isn't tribute at the end of the turn, it destroys itself. So, I tribute Samsara Lotus, keeping Yubel on the field. Samsara Lotus dissolves in a golden glow, its energy flowing into Yubel, letting her remain on the field. Turn end. Chapter 433, The Card Entrusted. Kira, my turn draw. Now, the arbiter has Yubel on the field. Normally, Yubel self-destructs at the end of the turn unless you tribute a monster. The lotus in the graveyard can revive itself every end phase, making it the perfect tribute. Luckily, the arbiter's Yubel system probably only goes this far. Kira knows how much potential Yubel has in the future. Her decks 20 years from now are top tier, like aircraft carriers bombing cavemen. If a boss like the arbiter had a deck that's strong, you might as well surrender. But the arbiter doesn't have Yubel's second or third forms. That's only natural. In the anime, while the base Yubel isn't necessarily unique, her evolved forms are. In the story, Yubel only gained her second and third forms after being sent into space and fusing with the darkness in her heart. At this point, Jaden's Yubel hasn't returned, so those forms don't exist yet. No matter how resourceful the Doma are, they couldn't have them. So, if Yubel is destroyed by an effect, she can't evolve here. With no destruction resistance, blowing her up works just fine. Kira makes up his mind and slaps down a card. I summon elemental hero Bublemon. Blue water bursts forth, and the blue armored hero appears among bubbles and splashes, wearing his signature confident grin. No wonder anyone would smile with Bubblemon's Draw 2 ability. If Bublemon is summoned while you control no other cards, draw 2 cards. Kira draws 2, adds them to his hand, and immediately plays 2 more. Spell card polymerization. Fusion materials, a hero plus any water monster. Everyone is shocked. A hero fusion? From Kira? Several people glance at Jaden, who's already visibly excited, reciting with Kira in unison. Born from the depths of the frozen abyss, freezing all with absolute ice. Elemental hero Absolute Zero. X2. A deep blue field sweeps across, cold as bone-chilling wind. Every inch is soaked in frost, gleaming ice covering everything. Snow swirls not gently but in a blizzard's fury. At the center, the pure white hero's cloak flutters, arms folded. He is the core of the ice. Elemental hero Absolute Zero, ATK 2500. The strongest elemental hero in the world, once a top meta pick. Handed down from Koyo to Jaden, then improved further. Now, he's in Kira's hands. Midori, seeing this champion hero standing in the finals, is moved to tears. Koyo. No one expected Kira to pull out such a trump card. Only the arbiter raises an eyebrow, then returns to his usual calm. Just another defeated foe, he says. Summoning this monster now, what's the point? He'd beaten Jaden and Koyo, but as the boss, never took their prize cards. Maybe that bends the rules, but even in the original Duelist Kingdom, Merrick beat Mai and Joey but took nothing. Perhaps he just wasn't interested. That's why Absolute Zero could pass from Koyo to Jaden, and now to Kira. Kira always ran Bublemon, and with no fusion deck limits in this era, Absolute Zero isn't a burden. Ignoring the arbiter, Kira reveals another card, spell card Metamorphosis. That card again. The arbiter frowns. Sacrifice a monster on the field to transform it into a fusion monster of the same level. I tribute Absolute Zero. With a sweep, snow turns into a blizzard, enveloping the white hero. This is Absolute Zero's true purpose. Leaving the field is his strongest moment. When he leaves the field, his effect activates, destroy all opponent's monsters. A new effect bestowed by Jaden. Absolute Zero. Total ice covers the arbiter's field, freezing everything. Yubel and the back row's Kyotera freeze into statues, then shatter with a series of crackling blasts. The arbiter says nothing, but his face is grim. Yubel's evolved form effects are unique to Jaden's spirit. The arbiter's version, with only the basic form, is gone no effect. Orichalco's Kyotera has a last words effect, summoning Orichalco's Shun'Oris. But the arbiter doesn't use it. Shun'Oris's stats depend on damage absorbed, but since Kyotera was removed so quickly, Shun'Oris would just be a sitting duck. Clearly, he's saving it for something more important. Kira knows Orichalco's Shun'Oris also has a last words effect, summoning the true boss, the infinite ATK Divine Serpent Gay. But Kira isn't worried. Divine Serpent Gay requires over 10,000 LP to be summoned, and the arbiter only has 1200, nowhere near enough. He can attack freely, Divine Serpent can't appear. The Arbiter doesn't know Kira's thoughts, but can't shake the feeling his whole hand's been seen through, getting more frustrated. Absolute Zero is level 8, so with Metamorphosis, I can special summon a level 8 fusion monster. And the card I summon is... Kira's dual disc opens the fusion monster slot, the card pops into his hand. He raises it high as lightning flashes, metal grinding, and engines roaring. Level 8. Cyber Twin Dragon. Chapter 434, The Final Barrier, Bonus. Cyber Twin Dragon, summoned. This twist surpasses all expectations. Absolute Zero was a shocking finals appearance, but for him to morph into a double-headed cyber dragon? Zane is stunned but delighted, that's the one he won from me. Bringing his cyber dragon to the finals is like bringing his will to the stage, a kind of participation, in a way. Jaden's elemental hero and Truesdale's cyber dragon. Mokuba looks uneasy. Though Kira stands on stage, it feels like the Duel Academy rookies are fighting side by side. Using Absolute Zero to transform into Cyber Twin Dragon, triggering Absolute Zero's field wipe, then double attacking with Twin Dragon. Jaden's eyes light up. What a brilliant tactic! As expected of Kira. To combine Mai and Zane's monsters so smoothly. Actually, hero players know the ideal use of Absolute Zero is to become Masked Hero Acid, nuking spells/traps. Absolute Zero into Acid was a classic combo. But Kira doesn't have Masked Hero, so he makes do. Maybe this will plant a seed in Jaden's mind to create new Masked Hero cards. Cyber Twin Dragon, direct attack. Kira commands. Twin Dragon breathes evolutionary flames, spiraling out like a fire dragon's breath. Activate the trap, draining shield, the Arbiter counters, negate the attack and recover LP equal to the attacking monster's ATK. A multicolored shield appears. The evolutionary flames hit it, energy absorbed and channeled to the Arbiter. Arbiter, LP 1200 LP 4000. Then, Twin Dragon can attack twice per turn, Kira says. Second attack. Dual evolutionary impact. Twin Dragon breathes fire again, an overwhelming beam roaring straight at the Arbiter. But the Arbiter keeps defending, activate trap, enchanted javelin. When an opponent's monster attacks, gain LP equal to its ATK. Arbiter, LP 4000 LP 6800. Similar to draining shield, but the attack still goes through. After healing, the blast hits, flames exploding, his clothes whipping in the fire. Arbiter, LP 6800 LP 4000. Damn, this guy's really hard to finish off, Mokuba mutters. If he could be beaten that easily, he wouldn't be worth my attention, Kaiba says coolly. Hey, really? Mokuba says awkwardly. He thinks Kira's attack was impressive enough. This combo of Absolute Zero's board control and Twin Dragon's power would OTK most duelists, maybe even pros. Kira, I set 3 cards and end my turn. My turn draw. The Arbiter's tone is venomous. His usual calm is gone, replaced by a dark, stormy look as he glares at Kira, all thoughts of alliance gone. Now, it's a fight to the death. I activate Card of Sanctity. Draw until I have 6 cards in hand. He replenishes his hand, but hardly looks at his new cards, never taking his eyes off Kira. I don't know what you are. But it doesn't matter. Maybe you're trying to annoy me, you've succeeded. Now, you'll see the price. He draws another card. The field zone lights up, green energy blasting skyward. Awaken, Orichalcos' third and final barrier. Orichalcos Tritos. The third and final barrier, representing the full release of the evil power hidden in this field. The ground trembles, as if a forbidden power is being summoned. The world is bathed in an eerie emerald glow, full of greed and desire, swirling and twisting before converging in a pillar of light. A complex hexagram rotates slowly, the third ring nesting around the previous 2. More ancient script appears, twisting like snakes or sharp as blades, glinting in the green light. Kaiba's eyes narrow. The final barrier finally activated. The Arbiter's forehead glows green, his eyes now like snakes, his whole body radiating green fire as Orichalcos' power blazes. Orichalcos' final barrier, Tritos. This can only be activated if Orichalcos Duderos is on the field, by sending it to the graveyard. This third barrier inherits the name and all effects of the first 2. And, in addition, while this barrier is in play, all monsters I control. The Arbiter's voice is hoarse and sharp. Are unaffected by any spell or trap effects. What? Everyone is stunned. This is the first time seeing the third barrier. Just its presence grants all his monsters immunity to spells and traps, on top of all previous effects. What kind of terrifying field is this? The Arbiter draws another card. Spell card, Card of Burial Magic. Remove Card of Sanctity, Seal of Orichalcos, and Reggi in my graveyard from play, then draw 2 cards. Spell card, Card of Adversity. If my opponent controls a special summoned monster and I have none, draw 2 cards. He keeps drawing, then reveals another card. Spell card, Monster Reborn. Revive a monster from my graveyard. The Arbiter selects a card from the graveyard, summoning it under the Monster Reborn symbol. Return, Orichalcos Kyutera. Under the resurrection symbol, the single eye opens again, gazing at the field with contempt. Orichalcos Kyutera, ATK 500 ATK 1000, due to Orichalcos barrier boost. Next, I activate. Ritual spell, Orichalcos Mirror. Chapter 435, Mirror Knight, bonus. Ritual spell Orichalcos Mirror. The Arbiter declared. Tribute monsters from your hand or field whose total levels are 6 or higher to ritual summon the ritual monster Mirror Knight calling from your deck. Anime card. The Arbiter sent 1 card from his hand to the graveyard. Tribute the level 6 time 8er from my hand to special summon Mirror Knight calling from the deck. What appeared on the field was a monster shaped like a prism, its body reflecting clear, crystalline light. It had a bizarre appearance and didn't seem to have any combat power. Mirror Knight calling, ATK 0 ATK 500. When Mirror Knight calling is successfully summoned, you can special summon any number of Mirror Knight tokens to your field. The Arbiter chuckled lightly. And Orichalcos Tritos inherits the effects of the previous 2 barriers. You haven't forgotten the effect of the first barrier, have you? The monster zones and spell/trap zones are shared, Kira said. Correct. The Arbiter raised his arm high. Therefore, I have up to 8 remaining zones where I can summon monsters. Special summon 8 Mirror Knight tokens. Weird arcs of light reflected from the towering prism, splitting into 8 beams that landed in the 8 empty zones on his front and back fields. Each beam transformed into a knight clad in armor, like a medieval knight covered in plate mail. One hand held a gleaming longsword, the other a square shield. The shield's surface was smooth as a mirror, clearly reflecting the opponent's field situation. Kira and his controlled cyber twin dragon were distinctly mirrored on that reflective surface. Mirror Knight token, ATK 0 ATK 500 x8. Midori was stunned, summoning 8 monsters at once. What kind of card is this that defies common sense? Kira didn't speak, but in his heart, he thought, as expected of the Orichalcos arc full of fake cards. The anime's Orichalcos chapter is overflowing with overpowered fake cards that are countless. Of course, some of those that players once thought would never become real cards have gradually been released over time. So, even these remaining unreleased ones seem ridiculous, but it's possible that Konami might suddenly remember them one day, add some self-restriction, and release them. The strongest enemy a duelist will face in their lifetime is always themselves. No one is exempt, the Arbiter said. And the Mirror Knights are the embodiment of the reflective mirror that reveals the true self within. The Arbiter waved his hand. Then, Orichalcos Tritos activates the effect gained from the second barrier. It can absorb life from the monsters I control. Once per turn, recover LP equal to the number of monsters on my field x 500. Everyone was shocked. Oh no, he has 10 monsters on the field now. Correct, the Arbiter said calmly. Therefore, I recover 5000 LP. Arbiter, LP 4000 LP 9000. Kira also frowned slightly. 9000 LP. Set 2 cards face down in my back row, then enter the battle phase. The Arbiter raised his hand. First, the first Mirror Knight token, the Arbiter said. Attack Cyber Twin Dragon. Jaden's heart tightened, attacking with a monster that only has 500 ATK. But he immediately remembered, no, it's not 500 ATK. That 500 is the barrier's boost, in other words, these tokens originally have 0 ATK. And as everyone knows, 0 ATK monsters are a hotbed for overpowered effects. Sure enough, the Arbiter continued, when a Mirror Knight token battles an opponent's monster, it can copy that monster's ATK value for the battle. Cyber Twin Dragon has 2800 ATK, so the Mirror Knight's ATK becomes the same. Mirror Knight token, ATK 500 ATK 2800. It can even copy ATK. Zane was astonished. Summoning 8 monsters at once, each with the effect to copy the opponent's ATK. Activate continuous trap, Kira said. Dimension Guardian. Select one monster on my field, as long as this card remains on the field, that monster cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. It was one of the 3 red pitfall cards Yugi Muto used in the movie to create an infinite loop and defeat the Blue Eyes. Protect Cyber Twin Dragon with Dimension Guardian, Kira said. The Twin Dragon protected by this card cannot be destroyed in any way. The Mirror Knight leaped forward and slashed with its sword, but it struck a transparent protective barrier. The rebound force immediately knocked the knight back, failing to hit the Twin Dragon itself. Great, now the Twin Dragon is invincible, Jaden said. And with equal ATK, if it can't be destroyed here, then only the Mirror Knight will be destroyed. Sure enough, the Twin Dragon, upon being attacked, counter-attacked automatically. The Cyber Dragon heads opened, electricity surged from its mechanical parts, quickly gathering in its mouth and erupting as a dazzling evolutionary flame. But just as the Mirror Knight was about to be engulfed by the flame, it suddenly raised its left arm, blocking with its mirror-like shield. The evolutionary flame washed over the mirror surface, and after a brief stalemate, it shattered the shield like hammered glass into fragments, but the knight itself remained unharmed. The Mirror Knight wasn't defeated. Midori frowned. The Arbiter said coldly, the Mirror Knight's shield can substitute for it, blocking one destruction. In more standardized Konami language, these Mirror Knight's shields should be shield counters, which can be removed as a substitute when the knight would be destroyed. By the way, Mirror Knight Calling has another effect. Once per turn, it can repair the shields of all Mirror Knights on my field whose shields have been destroyed, the Arbiter said. Such an outrageous ability. Midori was shocked inwardly. The Mirror Knights can copy the ATK of the battling monster, and during battle, they can use their shields as a substitute for destruction. Then, the destroyed shields can be repaired once per turn. And there are 8 such Mirror Knights on the field. With just these 8 knights, it's already close to invincible. Whether it was Midori or Jaden, they increasingly realized that in Arbiter's previous duels against Koyo and Jaden, this person hadn't exerted himself at all. His strength was unfathomable, indeed not something a regular duelist could face. Only Kaiba remained calm and composed. After all, they had encountered the Mirror Knights back then and suffered quite a bit. In fact, darts had once sealed the souls of the captured Yugi, Pegasus, Mai, and Joey into several Mirror Knights as hostages, making Adam hesitant to act, until Kaiba broke the stalemate. In comparison, the situation Kira faced now was less dire than theirs back then. But back then, Adam and Kaiba had teamed up against darts, while now Kira was facing the Arbiter one-on-one. No teammates to rely on, no one to assist from the side. This made it tougher than their experience. Though Kaiba wasn't on the stage, watching the duel progress, he couldn't help subconsciously comparing himself to Kira. Though they had just settled their score, his duelist's soul couldn't suppress its restless urge. Battle continues, the Arbiter said in a hoarse voice. The second Mirror Knight token attacks Cyber Twin Dragon. Hey! Mokuba was greatly surprised. Even knowing the attack is meaningless, he's still going for it. Chapter 436, The Descending Demon God. Mirror Knight tokens attack. The Arbiter's voice was calm but stern. Continue attacking Cyber Twin Dragon. The second Mirror Knight's longsword flashed like a cold light reflected on a mirror, fearlessly charging at the Twin Dragon. But Cyber Twin Dragon is protected by a Dimension Guardian and can't be destroyed, Mokuba said, bewildered. Even if that Mirror Knight can use its shield as a substitute, with both sides having preservation methods, wouldn't this attack be completely meaningless, just wasted effort? No, Kaiba said gravely. It's coming. Mokuba still didn't understand, but the battle on the field had already begun. Cyber Twin Dragon spewed dazzling flames in counterattack, the intense light surging toward the knight, who raised its shield to block. The shield steadily blocked the Cyber Dragon's light stream, shattering into fragments under the bombardment. At the same time, the domineering impact swept across the knight's armor, heading straight for the Arbiter. However, in that instant, the eye in the Arbiter's back row suddenly opened. It was like a black hole expanding, with endless gravity pulling in the impact's aftermath and flames, absorbing them all into the eye. Mokuba suddenly realized, when he attacked, he didn't activate the Mirror Knight's effect. The Arbiter spoke up, I don't activate the Mirror Knight's effect, so I don't copy Cyber Twin Dragon's ATK. Therefore, during this attack, the Mirror Knight has only 500 ATK from the Auric Halco's barrier. After damage calculation, use the Mirror Knight's shield as a substitute for destruction, so the Mirror Knight isn't destroyed by battle. However, this battle itself deals me 2300 battle damage. He pointed to the single eye in his back row, which was absorbing and digesting. At this point, the energy and flames had all vanished into the opened eye, and the Orichalco's eye closed again, seemingly digesting the energy. Last turn, when Mystic Tomato self-destructed, Kyutera had absorbed some damage, but it was then destroyed by Absolute Zero's effect and removed from the field, so the absorbed portion was likely nullified. Now, it had just absorbed 2300 damage anew. And on my field this turn, there are still 6 Mirror Knight tokens that haven't attacked yet. The Arbiter raised his hand. Mirror Knight tokens, all attack. Attack Cyber Twin Dragon. The Knights charged fiercely, 6 Mirror Knights lining up like a queue, drawing their swords one after another. Their ATK was 0 in the world of dual monsters, they were essentially powerless weaklings, basically instant kills in front of Cyber Twin Dragon. But the Knights pressed forward without fear, charging with swords drawn, their shields clearly reflecting the Twin Dragon's form. The 6 Knights collided like moths to a flame. Each strike was accompanied by a crisp crack, as a shield shattered into slag in the Knight's hand. Until all the Knights' shields on the field were pulverized under the impact of the evolutionary flames. Finally, Mirror Knight calling, the Arbiter waved his hand, having the ritual monster itself join the self-destruction lineup. Attack Cyber Twin Dragon. Mirror Knight calling, ATK 500. This ritual monster itself had a 0 ATK panel, clearly not suited for direct combat. But upon receiving its master's command to charge, it obediently rushed forward a flying prism that looked like someone hurling a refrigerator with all their might. Cyber Twin Dragon still opened its mouth to counterattack. Mirror Knight Calling's main body didn't have the substitute destruction shields like its summoned tokens, and the flaming beam shattered the prism in mid-air. When Mirror Knight Calling is destroyed, all Mirror Knight tokens are also destroyed. A series of cracking explosions rang out, and the Knights filling the Arbiter's field shattered one after another, like countless pieces of glass breaking simultaneously, scattering into a field of crystalline, glittering fragments. At this point, Kira had naturally seen through the intent, his brows tightly furrowed. No doubt, the Arbiter was accumulating damage for Kyutera. In the end, Kyutera would suicide into Cyber Twin Dragon, triggering its final ability. Kyutera's departure from the field would special summon Shun Oris from the deck, the invincible god statue that absorbs all damage and becomes unmatched. Sure enough, the Arbiter issued the final command as expected. Battle, the Arbiter said. Orichalco's Kyutera attacks Cyber Twin Dragon. As expected. Kaiba had also seen through the opponent's plan and said gravely. That thing is coming. Jaden and Midori's hearts tightened, by now, they fully understood the combo. It was the Orichalco's strongest demon god that had one-shot Koyo. Kyutera's suicidal assault was the final fuse, as long as it was destroyed by the Twin Dragon's counterattack, that thing would arrive. And with the damage it had absorbed so far. Kira. Jaden couldn't help but call out in worry, as if flashing back to Koyo standing firm against that terminating demon god until the end. Kira, however, remained composed and continued to respond. Activate my set card, trap card. Whatever you're doing is useless, the Arbiter interrupted decisively. With the third barrier activated, any spell or trap effects on my monsters become invalid. Traps can't stop Kyutera's attack. I know, but what I'm affecting isn't your monster, it's my own, Kira said. Trap card Interdimensional Matter Transporter, remove one monster on my field from the game until the end phase. I remove Cyber Twin Dragon from the game. Dimensional ripples expanded, and a complex mechanical transporter appeared on his field. With a ripple in the air like an opening black hole, the twin-headed mechanical dragon was sucked in and soon vanished. Oh, there's that move, right? Jaden said. Even if you can't affect the opponent's monster, you can send away your own. That way, Kyutera can't self-destruct, and Shinoro's summon fails. Though Kira could have activated it earlier to prevent the Mirror Knight's suicidal attacks from accumulating damage, doing so would have let the Mirror Knight's attacks hit Kira directly. While the Mirror Knights themselves have 0 ATK, under the barrier's boost, each has 500 ATK. 8 Knights plus 1 Mirror Knight calling, and Kyutera itself, would have been enough to wipe him out in one go. But activating the trap at the moment Kyutera attacks means Kira only has to take Kyutera's insignificant 1000 damage. If the self-destruction fails, all that accumulated damage becomes meaningless. Kyutera crashed into Kira, who raised his dual disc to block, staggering back half a step. Kira, LP 3800 LP 2800. You brat, you saw through my tactic again. The arbiter frowned. Indeed. If Kyotaro loses its attack target and can't self-destruct, Shun'orus can't appear, and my follow-up offense will be interrupted. He paused, then his expression darkened. But I am the god of final judgment descending upon the world, such tactics are well within my calculations. Activate quick play spell from my hand, Mystic Walk. Tribute a monster on my field and recover LP equal to its ATK. Chapter 437, The Strongest Spear and Shield. Quick play spell Mystic Walk. I tribute Orichalcos Kyotaro on my field, the arbiter shouted, and recover LP equal to Kyotaro's ATK. Dark red light enveloped Kyotaro's body. The large eye closed, and with an explosive boom, it shattered on the field. Arbiter, LP 9000 LP 10,000. But in the instant that small spherical body exploded, the vast energy stored within erupted. A blinding light that was almost impossible to look at pierced the sky. A burly, solid green form emerged from the beam, landing imposingly on the field. The deep green colossal god statue, with an emotionless face, stood silently yet naturally exuded an awe-inspiring pressure. As expected, Midori said gravely. That monster. Orichalcos Shun'orus, that terrifying monster. And this time, it was more than that. Unlike when it defeated Koyo, this Shun'orus came with two additional components. The green massive god statue landed, and then its left and right arms detached from the body with a clack. The arms didn't fall after detaching, they eerily floated in midair, drifting forward one on each side. Shun'orus landed in the Orichalcos barrier's back row zone, standing in what should have been the center of the spell/trap zone. Its left and right arms separated and moved forward, each occupying a monster zone in the front row, flanking Shun'orus. Clearly, the implication was that without first defeating these literal right-hand and left-hand men, one couldn't attack Shun'orus itself. When Kyotaro leaves the field, special summon these three cards from the deck, the arbiter said calmly. Descend. Orichalcos Shun'orus. Orichalcos Dexia. Orichalcos Aristuros. Among them, Dexia was Shinoro's right arm, and Aristuros was the left arm. The god statue's arms had detached and each transformed into separate monsters on the field. Orichalcos Shinoro's ATK is determined by the battle damage Kyotaro absorbed before leaving the field, as you should know, the arbiter said calmly. Therefore, Shinoro's ATK now is Orichalcos Shun'orus, ATK? ATK 18,400. ATK 18,400. Zane couldn't help but say. Under the Orichalcos barrier's boost, it gains an extra 500 ATK, the arbiter said. Orichalcos Shun'orus, ATK 18,400 ATK 18,900. Such terrifying ATK, plus the barrier's immunity to spells and traps. Kira also frowned slightly. The opponent had hidden a self-destruction method, this way, he couldn't prevent Shinoro's appearance. Shinoro's right hand, Dexia, is the strongest spear. When this card battles a monster, its ATK becomes that monster's ATK plus 300. The left hand, Aristuros, is the strongest shield. When attacked by a monster, its def becomes that monster's ATK plus 300. Isn't that invincible? Jaden was surprised. But Kira knew the cheating description wasn't complete. Shinoro's left and right hand's ATK/def changes aren't unlimited, they revert after the damage step of battle, and the values are deducted from Orichalcos Shinoro's ATK. In other words, their ATK/def can't exceed Shinoro's ATK. And each battle causes Shinoro's ATK to decrease accordingly. Even if Shun'orus itself attacks, it's the same. After Shun'orus battles, if against an attack position monster, deduct that monster's ATK from its own. If against a defense position monster, deduct the def. Thus, Shinoro's ATK looks exaggerated, but it's like a one-time battery. It consumes energy reserves with each battle, dropping lower the more battles occur. Of course, that's assuming the opponent can survive long enough against such power. To date, only 4 duelists have faced this demon god. Among them, Kaiba and Koyo were instantly crushed by its overwhelming power upon its appearance. The only one in history to defeat it head-on was Adam. Now, Kira was the fourth. Mokuba's face was ashen, ATK 18,000, and it's still in the battle phase. Kira has no monsters on the field, his set cards are used up. And the opponent has the third barrier's resistance. Kaiba also frowned in thought, perhaps recalling the helplessness he felt back then facing the same god statue in a similar scenario. Fujiki Kira, can you prove once again that you've surpassed the me of that time? The arbiter gently raised his hand. It's over. The arbiter shouted. Orichalco's Shinoro's direct attack, Ring of Destruction. A deep green ring slowly rose from Shinoro's base, flying out from the god statue's head. The ring spun rapidly like a sharp circular saw, whirling toward Kira to slice him. Like the might of a god, even Kira could feel the suffocating pressure encircling his heart. Without the support of spirits and divine artifacts, he might not even be able to stand firm. Indeed, Kira had no more monsters to serve as a barrier. If this hit solidly, he would likely fall like the two before him who had taken this move. With no time to think, he raised his dual disc, and a card ejected from his graveyard. Kuruba, save me again. As the Kuruba spun out onto the field, the arbiter's brows twitched. Clear Kuruba? But you've already used that monster. It's the second effect that's meaningful in the graveyard. Kira said. When Clear Kuruba is in the graveyard and the opponent declares a direct attack, banish this card from the graveyard from the game. Then draw one card from the deck. If it's a monster, you can special summon it, and the attack target shifts to that monster. In the end, you're entrusting your hope to an unknown draw. The arbiter sneered. But you have to draw a monster for it to work. And no matter what monster it is, it's useless before Shunoris, any wall will only be shattered. Kira didn't respond, only reaching to touch his deck. This draw absolutely had to be a monster. He knew it would be. This was the culmination of all his experiences in this world up to now. He had battled and learned step by step, growing stronger 1 foot at a time. This draw would be the proof of all those results. And in the instant before that draw, hanging from his chest, the inverted triangular golden pendant suddenly burst with a piercing golden light from the Eye of Horus. Chapter 438, Can You Believe Auto Mode? Activating Clear Kuruba effect. Draw a card from my deck. Kira's eyes snapped open again as he reached out to draw. At that moment, even the usually unflappable arbiter, whose face had shown no change despite inner agitation, finally reacted. This felt utterly different from before. The spark in Kira's eyes as he drew the card was worlds apart from just moments ago. And the sealing device hanging on his chest, which had only faintly disturbed the arbiter until now, suddenly flared with an unmistakable surge. It had seemed to be a vague, metaphysical boost to Kira's strength as a duelist, but now, its reaction was so dramatic, it felt like it was stealing the show. So you're done pretending, hey? Even Kaiba's heart pounded, his fists clenched involuntarily as he stared wide-eyed at the explosion of golden light. That power, that thrill deep in the soul, the blood-boiling feeling. It's him. Kaiba was sure of it. He'd recognize that presence anywhere, even if the guy turned to dust. He fixed his eyes on the glowing artifact on Kira's chest, and to his shock, within the light he saw the vague outline of a human figure. Hard to see clearly, but the shadow exuded a kingly aura. A golden pendant hung at the chest, a cloak billowed behind, and the Eye of Horus on the forehead seemed to pierce all evil. The figure appeared solemn, arms crossed, eyes closed as if chanting quietly. The audience didn't understand, but Kaiba's heart raced with a single thought. Only one who can chant the priestly text correctly can wield the power of the gods. Sure enough, when Kira looked up again, the Eye of Horus was reflected on his forehead. He raised the drawn card high, its radiance splitting the heavens like the newborn sun. With Clear Kuruba's effect, the drawn monster can be special summoned directly. Let the ever-changing fire of heaven and earth become eternal light illuminating the earth. Sun God, the winged dragon of Ra descend. Thunder rolled and roared overhead, like an angry beast. Destructive power brewed, each thunderclap shaking the island's soul. The surrounding sea surged, waves crashing against the rocks as if the world itself was in turmoil. And then, light. Blazing golden rays pierced the oppressive darkness, like blades slashing through clouds. Countless golden beams interwove, breaking through and pouring onto the land. From the light emerged a divine bird bathed in gold. Its body looked forged from pure gold, each feather shimmering with sunlight, like the primal flame at the world's dawn. Its wings spread wide, seeming to cover the sky. The legendary chief of the Egyptian gods, the mighty winged dragon of Ra, had returned to Duel City's peak after nearly a decade. Impossible. The arbiter couldn't stay calm. Clear Kuruba only gives you one draw, and you pulled the strongest god. Impossible. The audience was stunned. Is that the sun god Kira? Jaden stared in shock at Kira, his familiar friend now wrapped in golden light, almost divine, hard to see clearly. For audience members like Jaden and Zane, who were just kids 10 years ago, the gods were only a legend. They'd never dreamed they'd see one with their own eyes. And none expected the real thing to be 100 times more powerful than any rumor. Zane murmured, this shuddering feeling. To fight against such divine might, can anyone really do it? At Duel Academy, duelists are taught to always steady their momentum above all. If you feel fear during a duel, you've basically already lost. But facing such a divine beast and pressure, it's nearly impossible not to crumble, let alone overpower your opponent. And there were 3 gods in Battle City. Did duelists back then really fight under this kind of terrifying pressure? TCH. Damn Pharaoh, can't you stay dead in your grave? Now you're pulling this crap. The arbiter gritted his teeth. But the Egyptian gods' attack points depend on the total ATK of monsters offered as tribute. You summoned RA with clear Kuruba's effect, so even the strongest god is just for show. The winged dragon of RA, ATK 0. But RA shrieked, crimson light in its eyes fixed on the arbiter. Was it recognizing its old foe, the cheating snake, or just angry at being mocked? Ah! Jaden snapped back to the duel, worried again. Even if you summon a god, its attack is still. The eye of Horus on Kira's forehead glowed, echoing with the golden light from his artifact. He calmly said, true, RA has no ATK from no tribute. But the winged dragon of RA has other abilities. The arbiter was startled, then said coldly, you think you're qualified to control a god? RA is said to be the strongest god, and also the hardest to control. Even Merrick, heir of the Tomb Keepers, didn't know how to use Ra's secret effects. Only his dark alter ego could do it. Thus, only those who can chant the priestly text can control Ra's power. Kira didn't answer, just continued. Winged Dragon of RA, effect activate. Pay 1000 life points to destroy all monsters on the opponent's field. And when RA is special summoned, this effect can be used during the opponent's turn. Kira, LP 2800 LP 1800. As he spoke, the golden pendant flashed again. The kingly phantom appeared, arms crossed, as if chanting a silent spell. The arbiter's eyes widened in realization. The damn pharaoh not only left behind the strongest god. It's even in auto mode. Plug and play, with the ancient chant pre-programmed. Can you believe it? Chapter 439, Battle of the Gods. Ra's second form, unlocked. Kira declared. Immortal Phoenix. A surge of flames, not ordinary fire, but something more. Fire danced and twisted across the massive bird's body. First, its golden wings ignited, becoming wings of fire. The flames quickly spread, engulfing Ra completely in a sea of fire, its form now blurred and mysterious, unseen by mortal eyes. The blazing sun heated the air, making even the wind scorching and suffocating. The burning phoenix became the very center of the world. Then, the phoenix dove. Immortal Phoenix can pay 1000 life points to destroy all monsters on the opponent's field. The anime never fully explained god effects, so most conclusions come from fan interpretations of what we saw in duels. In DM, Merrick always used this effect during the opponent's turn, so it's clearly a quick effect. Anyone who's played the game knows how terrifying a quick effect board wipe is. But in DM's final duel, when Adam's 3 gods were destroyed by Yugi's trap monsters, theoretically, Ra's quick effect could have stopped Yugi's plays, but he didn't use it. In Battle City, Adam's Ra's Thunder Bullet was useless against Merrick's RA, but in the ceremonial duel, RA was destroyed by Ra's Thunder Bullet. There are contradictions. But the key difference, Merrick's RA was special summoned, while in the ceremonial duel, it was tribute summoned. So the best explanation is, only special summoned RA can enter Immortal Phoenix form. The Phoenix is immune to anything RA can't normally withstand, and during the turn it's special summoned, it's unaffected by any card effects. When Merrick's Phoenix was attacked by Ra's Thunder Bullet and Super Wave, it emerged unscathed, so Phoenix can't be destroyed by battle and deals 0 battle damage. It's often inferred that Ra's pay LP to wipe the field effect can only be activated when RA is special summoned. That seems to fit the anime, matching how each god appeared and was used. But in GX, Franz used Ra's pay 1000 LP to wipe effect in his own main phase after a regular tribute summon, showing RA can use the board wipe from either summon method. However, Franz never used Ra's quick effect during Jaden's turn to disrupt his plays that would have won him the duel easily. So, Combining all this, the most reasonable guess is, regardless of summoning method, RA can always wipe the board, but only special summoned RA becomes the invincible immortal phoenix, with its effect as a quick effect, usable during the opponent's turn. Right now, Kira's RA is that invincible phoenix. With the Arbiter's curses at the Pharaoh, the phoenix dove. Divine flames swept forth, obliterating everything. Even the sturdiest defenses were like paper before the sun's might. The imposing green idols crumbled, the so-called invincible spear and shield melted like tissue. The Arbiter's 3 monsters were all burned to ash. The Arbiter shielded himself from the unbearable blaze, then stood up grimly. As expected of the strongest god, such power. But this attack will plunge you into the deepest abyss. Green light flashed in his eyes, and the Auric Halko's barrier shone as if vibrating. The so-called god and my power, let's see which is stronger through this duel. When Auric Halko's Shinoros leaves the field, pay at least 10,000 LP and discard all your remaining hand to activate. A card slid itself out of his deck, as if alive, landing on his dual disc. A terrifying dark vortex opened, so deep that even the sun god's light couldn't penetrate. Amid the swirling darkness, an ancient evil stirred. When it finally appeared, all could see a horrifying serpent god. Its massive body, scales glinting ominously, like the blackest stars or currents in the abyss. Its eyes burned with ghostly fire, flickering in the darkness, tongue hissing, as if the world trembled under its shadow. No matter how vast the world, facing this monster, only RA seemed able to match it. RA shrieked, the serpent god answering with a roar. Divine Serpent K, ATK. Infinite attack. The audience was stunned. It was their first time seeing an infinite ATK monster surpassing the rules, embodying limitless power. Even Kaiba was shocked. Though he'd fought Darts, he never actually saw this beast. Before Darts used his final move, Kaiba had already fallen. When Adam defeated Darts and restored everyone's souls, Ga was already gone. So in history, only the Pharaoh had beaten this serpent. Wait, look at his life points. Mokuba yelled. Arbiter, LP 10,000 LP 0. Everyone was stunned. This monster and its effects were beyond comprehension. How could he still duel at 0 LP? Isn't that game over? Ga's first effect when summoned, your win condition changes. The Arbiter sneered. As long as Ga is on the field, I can't lose by LP hitting 0 or by decking out. The only way you can win is to defeat Divine Serpent Ga, with infinite power. Chapter 440, Divine Serpent Ga, Bonus. To summon Divine Serpent Ga, I must discard all cards in my hand. So, I discard the spell card of compensation from my hand. The Arbiter draws from his deck. When this card is sent from hand to graveyard, I can draw 2 cards. His voice is now shriller, a far cry from his previously calm and collected tone. Now, the only way you can win is to defeat Divine Serpent Ga. Of course, that's impossible. With Divine Serpent Ga on the field, the duel is as good as over. The Arbiter steps forward, green light surging in his eyes. No matter who you are, you'll be destroyed along with the Pharaoh's lingering soul and that so-called divine beast that should have been buried long ago. Divine Serpent Ga, attack. As he speaks, he rapidly draws a fistful of cards from his deck, then, in a pose reminiscent of Hellkaiser.jpg, he scatters them dramatically, sending cards flying everywhere. Each time Divine Serpent Ga attacks, I must send the top 10 cards of my deck to the graveyard to declare an attack, the Arbiter says. But it doesn't matter, you won't have another turn. Attack the Winged Dragon of RA. Divine Serpent Ga, unable to hold back, opens its massive mouth, a swirling black vortex forming within, blasting a spiraling beam at the Winged Dragon of RA. I activate the effect of Immortal Phoenix again, Kira says, I pay 1000 life points to destroy all monsters on your field. Kira, LP 1800 LP 800. Everyone is stunned. The Divine Beast's ability isn't even once per turn. To destroy the opponent's entire field during their turn, and with no once per turn restriction, that's unbelievably powerful. No wonder everyone used to say that owning even one of the 3 Egyptian gods made you unbeatable. With such a terrifying ability, even now, most duelists and decks simply can't compete, it's a one-sided slaughter. Even Kira has to admit that the animated effect of RA is truly impressive. The Immortal Phoenix charges again. Unstoppable divine flames sweep across the field, incinerating everything. The undying fire lights up the sky and earth, even the clouds seem to be burning. The Arbiter grits his teeth. Within Orichalcos's triple barrier, Divine Serpentka is immune to all spells and traps, leaving only monster effects as a weakness. But Divine Serpentka also has resistance to effect destruction, which should somewhat make up for that flaw. Though the physical card version was nerfed into a weak reptile, in the anime, this thing was a true divine beast. And in the anime, divine beasts have a strict hierarchy, directly affecting their resistances and whether destruction effects can take hold. For example, in Battle City, the Sky Dragon controlled by Adam had immunity to monster effects, but this was useless against Moloch's RA. However, Sky Dragon and Obelisk's effects were all ineffective against RA. In the manga, Adam's Sky Dragon and Obelisk were also ineffective against the highest ranked wicked god, the Wicked Avatar. Only RA, which shared the highest rank, could harm it. There's even a divine exclusive spell card in the manga, Divine Evolution, which Adam used to temporarily raise Obelisk to the same rank as RA, allowing it to ignore Incarnate's resistance. Divine Serpentka, being a divine, is naturally subject to this hierarchy. If it faces a higher ranked god, its destruction resistance is negated. Honestly, Kira isn't sure if this attack will work after all. The anime never showed a real battle between the divine beasts and Divine Serpentka. But RA in Immortal Phoenix form should be top tier among divines, so it's worth a shot. Annoying divine beast, the Arbiter says coldly. Then I activate the quick play spell Forbidden Dress, lowering one monster's ATK by 600, making it unaffected by card effects and indestructible by effects until the end of the turn. I choose to protect Divine Serpentka with this card. Whether the Arbiter realizes Divine Serpentka can't withstand the Phoenix's flames or is just being cautious, he can't afford to gamble now. Everything rides on Divine Serpentka. If it falls, he loses. The Orichalcos triple barrier makes my monsters immune to your spells and traps, but my own effects are valid. Divine Serpentka's ATK is infinite, so losing 600 is meaningless, the Arbiter says. The Phoenix's destruction is negated. In DM, Ra's effect is described as destroy all opponent's monsters, but the text was vague, so some thought destroy meant send to graveyard, not destruction by effect. But this was overturned after RA appeared in GX. By then, the rules were clearer, and Franz explicitly used Ra's effect to destroy all opponent monsters. The Phoenix's flames dissipate without effect, Divine Serpentka hisses triumphantly, as if gloating. Divine Serpentka is invincible, the Arbiter shouts. This is the end, crush him. Divine Serpentka spits a chaotic vortex at RA, but the Phoenix crosses its wings in front, forming a living barrier of flames. The vortex crashes against the barrier, sending shockwaves rippling through the sky and sea, shaking the entire island as if the gods' battle might flip the world. No effect. The flames fade, but the Phoenix still stands, its fiery cloak blazing even brighter after taking Divine Serpentka's infinite attack. The divine bird cries out, Kira standing unharmed beneath its protection. Kira, LP 800. What? The Arbiter is stunned, Divine Serpentka's infinite attack is useless. I'm infinite, how can I not hurt you? Too bad. The turn RA is special summoned as Immortal Phoenix, it's unaffected by any card effects, can't be destroyed by battle, and deals 0 battle damage to the player. TCH, troublesome divine beast. The Arbiter snorts. But the Phoenix's effect only lasts one turn. Special summoned gods can't stay on the field forever. I know. Kira nods. The special summoned winged dragon of RA must go to the graveyard at the end of this turn. Rest now, RA. The Phoenix glares one last time at Divine Serpentka, but as its time ends, its power fades. The flames recede, the divine bird's fire dims, and it sinks into Kira's dual disc, silent for now. As RA leaves, it's like sunset. Light and darkness were balanced, but with RA gone, darkness quickly takes over. Divine Serpentka's body emits endless darkness, covering the world in the deepest night, starless and without hope. With the sun god gone, only the evil god remains. Everyone's hearts sink with Ra's disappearance, feeling as if hope itself has vanished. The evil god's infinite attack power is suffocating, even from outside the field, Zane murmurs. He doesn't finish, but everyone understands. How much pressure must Kira be under, facing that thing in battle? Though RA is gone at the end of the turn, interdimensional matter transporter also ends. Kira reveals a card. Waves ripple in the air, and from the transparent vortex, the cyber twin dragon returns to the field amid crackling electricity. Metal parts grind, and the steel dragon lets out a long roar. Cyber twin dragon returns to my field. Cyber Twin Dragon, ATK 2800. Cyber Twin Dragon. Zane watches his old ace return, but feels no pride or relief. Before Divine Serpent Gay, even Cyber Twin looks pitifully weak. No, all regular monsters are powerless before that thing. Even the incredible blue eyes shining dragon Kaiba showed earlier would be helpless now, it's no match for Divine Serpent Gay. My turn, draw. Kira draws. His voice is calm and steady, neither hot-blooded nor fearful. Zane may not agree with Kira's tactics, but he can't help but respect his composure. Even facing such an opponent, in such a situation, he doesn't flinch or waver. I activate the spell card Spider Web. I can add a card that was sent to the opponent's graveyard last turn to my hand. Anime card. Kira declares. The card I'll take from your graveyard is the spell card Monster Reborn.
Thanks for listening.